The water is glassy this morning, reflecting the soft hues of the sunrise. It's my favorite time of day, before the world wakes up, before the HOA starts making noise about my lawn, my fence, or whatever else they think I'm doing wrong. Out here on my dock, sipping coffee and watching the waves, I feel at peace. I own a modest home in a gated community on the Florida coast. It wasn't easy getting here. I served 10 years in the Coast Guard, worked my way up, and saved every dime to buy this house with a private dock. Most of my neighbors respect that. Most. Then there's her, Margaret Livingston, the HOA president. A woman who carries her entitlement like a badge of honor. She calls everyone dear, but drips venom in every word. I've caught her side-eyeing my property more than once, finding some invisible issue to bring up in her weekly emails. Last week, it was a complaint about my boat. "This is a family-friendly neighborhood," she had said, her lips barely moving. "We have a certain aesthetic to maintain. And your vessel, so large, so military, well, it's a bit aggressive, don't you think?" It was a ridiculous complaint. My boat is a standard 25-foot Boston whaler, nothing flashy. But I knew what she meant. She didn't like that a black man owned a home here, much less one with a dock and a boat that signified success. I had brushed her off with a polite nod. "My boat follows HOA guidelines, Margaret." Her tight smile twitched. "Of course. But, well, there have been concerns about how it dominates the view." I didn't bother arguing. I knew how this game was played. She couldn't legally force me to move my boat, but she could make my life difficult. That's why, when I step onto my dock this morning and see nothing but empty space, my stomach drops. My boat is gone. At first, I think maybe I tied it improperly, that it drifted away in the night. But my knots don't fail. I checked the cleats. The rope wasn't cut. It was untied. Someone took my boat. A chill crawls up my spine. This wasn't some drunk kid joyriding. This was deliberate. And given how Margaret had been eyeing my property lately, I have a very good idea who might be involved. I pull out my phone, my jaw tightening. Whatever game she thinks she's playing, she just made a very big mistake. My heartbeat pounds in my ears as I scan the water. The tide is low, the morning still, and there's no sign of my boat anywhere in the bay. It didn't drift off, it was taken. I take a slow breath, steadying myself. Think. Who would steal a Coast Guard veteran's boat from a private dock? Then, I hear laughter. From across the bay, near the community's shared dock, I spot a group of people gathered by the water. And there, bobbing smugly in the waves, is my boat. I recognize one of the figures standing on deck instantly, Margaret Livingston. She's wearing a wide-brimmed sun hat and an obnoxiously bright cover-up, laughing with a group of her HOA friends like they don't have a care in the world. Like she doesn't have my property beneath her feet. A prickle of disbelief runs through me. She stole my boat? Not some random thief, not a misunderstanding. Margaret herself. I grip my phone, my knuckles white. This woman has lost her damn mind. For a moment, I debate calling the police. But something stops me. Margaret is connected. She's got half the HOA in her pocket, always hiding behind rules and technicalities. If I go in blind, she'll twist the story, make me out to be the aggressor. It wouldn't be the first time a black man got blamed for simply defending his own property. I need proof. I start recording on my phone, zooming in on the boat. Margaret's voice carries over the water, crisp and arrogant. "Oh, this is so much nicer than I expected. And look at all the space. We should use this for the HOA beach cleanup trips." A shrill voice chimes in. "Are you sure he won't mind?" Margaret waves a dismissive hand. "Please. It was just sitting there and used. Besides, I left a note." A note? I clench my jaw. These people think they're entitled to my property, my home, my success. And they think a scribbled piece of paper makes it okay? I stalk back at my dock, my pulse hammering. If they think they can take what's mine without consequences, they have no idea who they're messing with. I march toward the shared dock, phone still recording. My footsteps are quick, my breath controlled, but there's a fire burning in my chest. This isn't just about a stolen boat, it's about power.
control.
Margaret thinks she can take what's mine because, in her mind, I don't belong here. As I approach, their laughter continues, oblivious. A few HOA members are lounging in chairs on the dock, sipping from insulated cups. Margaret is still on my boat, leaning against the console like she owns it. I clear my throat.
Loudly.
The chatter dies. Heads turn. Margaret's eyes meet mine, and for a split second, I see it, the flicker of realization. She knows exactly what she's done. But instead of looking guilty, she smiles. There you are, dear, she says, waving as if we're old friends. I was just about to text you. My grip tightens around my phone. Cut the act, Margaret. You took my boat without my permission. The group shifts uncomfortably. Some of the HOA members glance between us, suddenly more interested in their drinks. Margaret, however, remains composed. Well, she sighs, stepping off the boat onto the dock. I wouldn't say took. We borrowed it, for the good of the community. I let out a sharp laugh. The community? Yes. She folds her hands in front of her, her voice dripping with condescension. Your boat was just sitting there, hardly ever used. And since you're a Coast Guard man, I assumed you'd be happy to contribute. We're planning a fundraiser for ocean conservation, and this boat, your boat, is perfect for it. I stare at her, waiting for the punchline. So, you just decided to help yourself? She tilts her head, eyes twinkling with the smugness of someone who's never faced consequences. I left a note. I exhale through my nose, forcing myself to stay calm. Where's the note? Margaret blinks, then glances at one of the women sitting nearby. Elaine, dear, did you? Elaine, an older woman with pearls and too much perfume, frowns. I don't think we brought it. I step forward, my voice cold. You stole my boat. Margaret scoffs, crossing her arms. Stole? Such a dramatic word. We borrowed it for a good cause. Honestly, I expected a little more community spirit from you. I step closer, my gaze locked onto hers. Community spirit? Margaret, you took my private property without permission. That's theft. Some of the other HOA members shift uncomfortably, clearly realizing this isn't a conversation they want to be part of. But Margaret? She stands firm, chin lifted. Well, she says, her tone airy. If you really want to make a fuss about it, I suppose we can discuss it at the next HOA meeting. I bark a laugh. Oh, we're discussing this now. She sighs dramatically, then turns to the small crowd around us. You know, she says loudly, I find it so interesting that certain people move into our community and immediately take an aggressive stance. It's almost as if they don't understand how things work here. My stomach tightens. There it is. The unspoken accusation. The subtle racism. The same patronizing attitude she's had since I moved in, like my presence is an exception she barely tolerates. Careful, Margaret, I say, voice dangerously low. You're showing your hand. Her smirk falters for a second before returning. Oh, please. This is just a misunderstanding. I'm sure the authorities would see it that way. My blood runs hot, but I stay calm. I knew she'd try this. Gaslight me. Make me seem unreasonable. Turn the narrative against me. But what she doesn't know. I came prepared. I hold up my phone, screen facing her. Funny you should mention the authorities, because I recorded everything, including you admitting you took my boat, without my permission. Margaret's smug expression falters. I let the video play, her voice coming through loud and clear. Your boat was just sitting there. I left a note. We borrowed it for a good cause. The murmurs from the HOA members grow louder. A couple of them exchange nervous glances. They know this looks bad. Margaret stiffens. Now, hold on just a minute. You're twisting my words. I take another step forward. Am I? Because I also checked the marina's security cameras before coming here. And guess what? They recorded you and your friends untying my boat in the middle of the night. Silence. The color drains from Margaret's face. She wasn't expecting that. I keep going, pressing the advantage. I could send this footage to the Coast Guard. Or the police. Maybe even a few local news stations. HOA president steals veteran's boat. Sounds like a story people would love. Margaret opens her mouth, then closes it. Her eyes dart to the HOA members, but no one is backing her up anymore. Even Elaine looks away, pretending to check her nails. Now, Margaret's tone changes. It's not smug anymore. It's tight. Desperate. I think we should all just calm down, she stammers. There's no need to get authorities involved. I mean, it's just a little misunderstanding, right? I fold my arms. So, now it's a misunderstanding? Thought you said I was being aggressive. She swallows hard. I let the silence stretch, watching her squirm. Then I say, give me my damn boat back. Now. Margaret's lips press into a thin line. She glances at her shrinking circle of supporters, searching for backup, but no one meets her eyes. The tide has turned. She knows it. Still, she clings to her entitlement like a life raft. Now, let's not overreact, she says, forcing a laugh. We're neighbors, after all. There's no need to blow this out of proportion. I tilt my head. Blow it out of proportion? You stole my boat, Margaret. She flinches at the word stole, but before she can argue, a new voice cuts through the morning air. What's going on here? All heads turn as Officer Delgado, one of the local sheriff's deputies, steps onto the dock. He's a no-nonsense guy, Latino, a straight shooter. I've run into him a few times around town, and we've always been cool. Margaret, however, straightens like she's just been thrown a lifeline. Oh, officer. Thank goodness you're here. We were just having a little neighborhood disagreement. I scoff. Disagreement? Try grand theft. Delgado frowns. Someone want to explain? Margaret jumps in first, talking fast. This is all a misunderstanding. We borrowed his boat for a community event, and now he's trying to make it into some big thing. I stay silent, letting her dig her own grave. Delgado turns to me. That true? Nope, I say, handing him my phone. I've got her entire confession recorded. Plus, marina security footage shows her untying my boat at night. You tell me if that sounds like borrowing. Delgado scrolls through the video, his frown deepening. Margaret laughs nervously. Officer, let's be reasonable here. Do we really want to waste police resources on this? I mean, I left a note. Delgado arches a brow. Where's the note? Margaret stammers. Well, I meant to leave one. Delgado exhales sharply. You meant to? Margaret's carefully curated mask is cracking. She looks around frantically, realizing no one is coming to her defense. Even Elaine, her usual lapdog, is pretending to be deeply interested in a seagull overhead. Desperation sets in. Listen, officer, I've been the HOA president here for 5 years. I've done so much for this community. I'm sure we can resolve this without making it into a legal issue. Delgado folds his arms. You trying to bribe me, ma'am? Margaret pales. What? No. Of course not. I step in. You know, I'd love to press charges, but I have an even better idea. Margaret's head snaps toward me, her face twisted in suspicion. What idea? I cross my arms. You're going to resign from the HOA. Effective immediately. Her mouth drops open. You can't be serious. Oh, I am. I smirk. Because if you don't, I'll be handing all this evidence to the police, the HOA board, and the local news. Let's see how your precious reputation holds up then. Margaret trembles, with barely concealed rage. You're blackmailing me. I raise a brow. Blackmail? No. I'm giving you a choice. Walk away now, or get dragged through the mud in front of the entire community. The gathered HOA members murmur among themselves. They know she's finished. Delgado sighs. Sounds like a fair deal to me. Margaret's face twists in fury. Her world, the control she's had over this neighborhood, is crumbling right in front of her. She clenches her fists. Fine, she spits. I resign. The words taste like poison to her. I grin. Good choice. Margaret stands frozen, the weight of her resignation sinking in. The woman who once ruled the HOA with an iron fist is now nothing more than a disgraced figure on the dock, stripped of her power. But I'm not done. You'll also be covering any damages, I say, my voice steady. Anything broken or missing? You're paying for it. Her nostrils flare, but she knows she has no ground left to stand on. She jerks a stiff nod, swallowing whatever insult is burning on her tongue. The gathered HOA members shift uneasily, looking anywhere but at her. Some of them, the ones who had blindly followed her for years, finally seem to see her for what she is. Elaine, the same woman who had been at Margaret's side moments ago, clears her throat. Well, I suppose it's for the best. Maybe some fresh leadership is what the HOA needs. Margaret's head snaps toward her, betrayal flashing in her eyes. Elaine, you. But Elaine is already turning away, muttering something about needing to get home. One by one, the other HOA members drift off, avoiding Margaret's glare. Her empire is crumbling, and she's standing in the wreckage alone. Delgado crosses his arms. Well, I'll still need to file a report. HOA politics aside, this was still an illegal act. Margaret whirls on him. You're not actually going to. He shrugs. Standard procedure. Don't worry, I'm sure a well-connected woman like you can explain herself to the authorities. The look of sheer horror on her face is delicious. I don't bother hiding my smirk as I step past her and onto my boat, where it belongs. I run my hand over the console, checking for any damage. Everything seems intact, but I make a mental note to have it inspected. If Margaret thinks she's getting out of this unscathed, she's in for a rude awakening when she sees the bill. The dock is nearly empty now. The spectacle is over, and the community has quietly distanced itself from Margaret like rats abandoning a sinking ship. Good. I untie the ropes, feeling the tension in my chest finally release. She thought she could take from me. She thought she could get away with it. She was wrong. As I pull away from the dock, the sun reflects off the water, casting a golden shimmer across the bay. The fresh ocean air fills my lungs. My home. My success. My peace. She tried to take all of it, but I'm still here.